to the Maldives. I'm keen to understand whether you can come here for, well, it's not going to be cheap, but not as expensive as the $600 to $1,000 night hotels that you see at the classic over the water in the Maldives. We'll go all the way from landing in the airport, sorting everything out, transport, accommodation, food, day trips, and figure out how much it would actually cost, or actually did cost for me. And spoiler alert, it exceeded expectations. I actually really like the Maldives. I didn't think I was going to. That might sound a bit strange. I have my reasons. I've got sun cream in my eye and that is stinging. The Maldives are probably not going to be for, say, backpackers, but I wanted to see whether, you know, the normal person like me can go. You don't have to be super rich, because whilst I wanted to stay on a villa over the water, I looked that up. I thought I might be able to get a good sort of last second deal, but they are universally $600 to $1,000 a night, which you wouldn't catch me paying ever. And I didn't really want to pay a few hundred, maybe $400 to be on the beach and not over the water. I didn't see the point in that. So when you land in the airport, you're probably going to land in Malé, which is great because the airport is so close and everything's so easy. You'll probably want to pick up a SIM card because the mobile network seems to work better than hotel Wi-Fi. That's what I did. So there's two main providers. There's Dhiraagu and Ooredoo. I think they're reasonably similar. I think Ooredoo has better international coverage. I don't know what that means, but they're reasonably similarly priced. It's more expensive than other countries in Southeast Asia, but you'll pay $50 US for 30 gigabytes that lasts 30 days. I think you can pay 30 for 12, but I went for the $50 for 30 gigabytes. It was super easy. I was in and out of the shop in just over 5 minutes, maybe. You just come out of departures, turn right, it's probably 60 meters. Once you've got your SIM card, you're probably going to want to get some cash out, or you'll want to bring some cash. Most places do take US dollars, but make sure your notes are crisp, because if they have any imperfection, they just won't accept it. More than half of the notes that I'd been carrying around in my backpack that had got sort of rumpled and maybe a slight tear or faded, they didn't accept. So that's something to bear in mind. You can get Maldivian rupiah, but bear in mind that nowhere else in the world is going to take that, so you're going to want to spend it before you go. That's what it looks like. That's 10 Maldivian rupiah. The good thing about this is that it's like Australian, it's plastic money that the UK has now moved to. If you're like me and you're on a surf trip, you can just shove some in your board shorts and not worry about it. So you've got your SIM card, you've got some money, go to the boat. If you're in the southern atolls, you'll probably have to get a plane. I don't know much about that, but the best thing about flying into the Maldives is that the port where the boats leave from is maybe 150 meters from departures. So that's the airport, and then that is the jetty. Pretty good. Most guest houses will be able to give you info as to what the prices are. You can get the public ferry to Thulusdhoo. It takes 2 hours. It costs you like $3, which is nothing. But I think you have to get a boat to the port where the public ferry leaves from. And to be honest, after a flight, I'll pay pretty much anything to get to the hotel. So I organised it with Coral Inn where I was staying. It cost me $30 US each way and took half an hour. It was easy, easy, easy. Get off the plane, go through immigration, walk 150 meters to the port, wait for your boat to come in, jump on the boat. Half an hour later, you land on Thulusdhoo. There's somebody to collect you and they take you to your hotel. I wasn't expecting that. I always expect it to be a bit of a hassle, and it was so easy. Loved it. So then you've got accommodation. Most places on Thulusdhoo are going to cost you 50 to say $70 US a night. I went for a slightly bougier place and I think I paid $75 a night, but most of the places about $50 US is pretty reasonable. That's not going to be the case for the whole of the Maldives. Thulusdhoo is specifically well known for surfing, and surfers are fairly well known for their frugality. I would imagine that other places might be more expensive, but then when you're looking at resorts, you get package deals and they can be reasonably cheap. If you're trying to do it on the cheap, you can definitely find places for $70 US a night, which, okay, it's not a hostel price, but it's cheaper than, well, 600 to 1,000. Coral Inn was where I was staying, and I can't recommend it more. The view was incredible. The people that ran it were really, really nice, really helpful. Yes, okay, there was a building site next door, but that's only temporary. By the time, say, somebody watches this and goes there, they'll be finished. So yeah, Coral Inn. You'd have to excuse the mess. I'm packed up and ready to go. The only problem is that there's a construction site next door, and I swear there's a guy just hitting stuff with a hammer for the sake of making noise. What are you gonna do? It's not their fault. Coral Inn have been really, really good, and I would come back here in an instant. Classic case of man with a hammer. They also took photos of us surfing and didn't tell anybody, and then they just sent it to us for free at the end. And I said, hey, you should actually be charging for these, because they were really, really good photos. But that was just like the icing on the cake. Coral Inn, muy bien. And then food, again, this will change between islands. The Western food on Thulusdhoo is a poor imitation. It's pretty crap, actually. So it wasn't worth it, and you're paying double the price. You're paying 10 to 12 US dollars for some spaghetti dish that is not worth it. So eat locally. And whilst, you know, okay, it's not Sri Lanka, it's close to Sri Lanka, that's probably a huge generalization. I wasn't a fan of the food in Sri Lanka. The food in the Maldives is incredible. It's all fish curry, it's all coconut based, which surprisingly I'm not the biggest fan of coconut, but it was great. It was really good. I would actually get breakfast with the place that I'm staying, which was just roti and coconut sambal with an omelette, a sort of reasonably classic Maldivian breakfast, apparently. Probably some of the best food I've had. Coral Inn, genuinely really, really good. But yeah, I would have my breakfast there. For lunch, I would go to one of the local restaurants and get these sort of pastries. So I'd get like fried fish balls, some bread. This, I don't know what it's called, but they had this sort of sweet bread with fish curry inside. And those things were just amazing. So I'd just pick up a bag of them. It cost me maybe, I don't know, $4 or $5 max for a big bag. And then I'd have that for lunch, because I could then go on a day trip, take that, and not have to waste time sort of sitting around and ordering. So once I discovered those sort of fish balls and the assorted pastries, I just ate them. Cheap, delicious, not that great nutrition-wise. But hey, I was on holiday, so it doesn't count. It's a bit like being in airports or traveling. Honestly, once I realized that the Western food was rubbish, I would just go back to those places. I'll put them in the description below. There's a couple of restaurants near the ports, and you just get a fish curry, which was delicious. So food, go local, which is usually the case. And then travel-wise, it depends if you stay on the island that you're staying on or you want to do trips, because most of the islands, there's no cars, you just have bikes to go around, you cycle around, and it's really sort of, well, it's island life, right? For instance, with Thulusdhoo, you can snorkel around Thulusdhoo. Obviously, people are there to surf. I was there to surf. There's also the sandbar, which is on the west of the island. I think I might just show you the footage of that. That was really beautiful, actually. So you're not going to have any taxi costs, but I would advise that you're going to want to do trips. So surfing wise, going to Chickens is going to cost you $5 or $10. Most of the sort of half-day trips to go snorkeling are about $30 to $35, and they are so worth it. I said it in my last video, if you're staying on Thulusdhoo, go snorkeling, go to the fish tank. It's like an aquarium. You'll see stingrays, sharks. Just do it. It's so good. So I think I'd probably budget probably $100. Do 3 trips, 2 or 3 trips minimum, I would say. I think if I wasn't surfing, I'd probably get bored with 10 days just on Thulusdhoo. Either you can explore the other islands or you can explore the sea and the atolls. So maybe even $150, but we're trying to do it on the cheap, so call it 3 trips. In terms of general other stuff, there's no drinking on Thulusdhoo and most of the islands because it's a Muslim country. There are sort of bar boats that you have to pay to go to, and then I didn't do it. So you'll probably pay $10 to get to the boat, and then beers are probably going to be $5 for a can to watch. I didn't see the point in it. Just don't drink for a week or 10 days. If you're into it, you have to factor that in. You are going to pay more because it's expensive to import it, and there's a load of rules around it. So there's only specific places that you can drink. I was actually reasonably surprised about sort of amenities and things from the shops. There aren't many shops on, say, Thulusdhoo, but I thought sun cream would be, for instance, horrendously overpriced. And it wasn't. It was pretty much the same price. It's like $5 for, you know, brand name sun cream, which was actually pleasantly surprising. I always hear that, you know, things are going to be way more expensive, but, well, at least in my experience, they really weren't. And that's about it, you know. It sort of shows why I thought the Maldives might be boring, because whilst you've got, you know, nice white sand and clear water, I've been privileged enough to see a lot of white sand and clear water, and I thought that, you know, I don't like to just sit on a beach. But there's loads of surf, or the surf was really good when I was there. The snorkeling is way, way better than I thought it would be. There's other places to explore. 10 days was enough for me. You might want to do a week, but what have we got there? Call it $60 a night for accommodation. You've got $15 for food, call it 20 because you're on a holiday, so $80, or the rest of the transportation, and, you know, day trips, probably whack on another $15 a day for that. So I think that you can quite comfortably do it for less than $100 a day, not including flights, obviously. So as I said, it's not going to be a backpacking destination, but it's not exclusively for the super rich, which I always had in my mind that you had to be. And to be fair, if you're going to drop $1,000 a night for a villa over the water and stay there for 10 days, that's a lot of money. So that's out of my league. I'd love to do it, but to be honest, I'd rather just spend $70 a night for a nice room with a balcony looking over the surf. The Maldives exceeded expectations. They were great. I really want to go back and explore more of the islands and the atolls, so I'll have to figure that one out. But they're reasonably accessible, and if you're, say, living in London, $100 a night for so-called paradise for 10 days, that's not too bad for a holiday, in my books anyway. So there you go. The Maldives are perhaps relatively cheaper than you might have expected, or at least I expected. Hope that helps. Okay, bye bye.